Healthworks, a family wellness center.
Real Food 101. Basically, it's going back to how our great-grandparents ate, or our great-great-grandparents perhaps. Food, not food. Food is simple. Shouldn't have a list of ingredients this long. If it does, it's not food. It's important to build a solid foundation. Each individual person has a unique composition and should approach their nutrition as such. We must take full responsibility for the care and maintenance of our own bodies. It's also important that we learn to take cues from our body. So really we need to learn to be the masters of our own body. How do things agree with us? What doesn't agree with us? You know, making notes of these things and learning from those experiences. And it's also important to note that there's an element of balance in a healthy diet. For example, there's health benefits to having a 4-ounce serving of red wine, but once you get to a 24-ounce serving, then you're, asking for trouble. Traditional diets. Traditional cultures consume some sort of animal food such as fish, shellfish, land and waterfowl, land and sea mammals, eggs, and dairy. Muscle meat, organs, and bones and fat are all included in a traditional diet. Total fat content of a traditional diet varies between 30 to 80% of calories. Now that is widely different than what we see today's recommendations being. Only around 4% of those were polyunsaturated oils, which would be like seeds, safflower seed oil, that sort of thing. The remaining fat calories came from saturated fat and monounsaturated fats, which would include olive oil, nuts, avocados, that sort of thing. So that's pretty much the opposite of what the mainstream would recommend as far as fat consumption goes. And interestingly, traditional diets consumed about an equal amount of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Like the ratios were about 1:1 or 1:2, as opposed to 1:20 or 1:50, which is what we commonly see Americans as having those type of ratios in their blood. All traditional diets contain some salts, which is not like our salt that's made in factories, but something milled from the ground or taken from the sea, like Himalayan salt or the Real Salt brand, which comes from the salt mines in Utah. Traditional diets also have a high content of food enzymes and beneficial bacteria, which come from lacto-fermented vegetables, dairy, fruit, beverages, meat, and condiments. Traditional diets also make use of animal bones, typically in the form of gelatin and mineral-rich broths. And those broths can be used as bases for soups, chilies, sauces. You can use them to make quinoa or rice. There's pretty much, or you can drink it by itself. So where do you start in trying to return to a traditional sort of diet? Probably the first best step would be to eliminate processed foods. So if it comes in a box or it has a long list like the beginning of the presentation showed, or a drive-through, you would want to start by eliminating those foods. Be a little bit patient with yourself because those foods do have additives that purposely make them addictive. So the next step would be to eliminate MSG, artificial sweeteners, including high fructose corn syrup, aspartame, Splenda, Sweet and Low, etc. And some of those can be hidden under different names, so there's a lot of resources on the web for learning what those names are so you can spot them. But by eliminating the processed foods, that'll already help you with that second step. It's also important to greatly reduce sugar intake overall. Most of us know that as a society we're eating way more sugar now than we used to, and it's causing a variety of different problems. So even considering fruit as more of a dessert item is not a bad way to look at it. Keep it real. Just eat real food prepared appropriately, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. Avoid GMOs. Does anybody not know what a GMO is? Everyone does? That is awesome. All right, so purchasing food locally as much as possible is really important for many reasons. The food will be more fresh, it fosters a sense of community, and also contributes to local food security and economics. Reducing your exposure to toxins, that's not necessarily food related, but it's still important. You know, pretty much everything that you put on your skin goes into your bloodstream. You know, you put it on, it disappears, and it goes somewhere. So beauty products, that sort of thing. Actually, next month, our product of the month is this beauty balm here, and you can eat everything in it. And in fact, I have to hide it from my 2-year-old because she will get into it and eat it. I'm kind of inclined to let her, but. And consuming more fermented foods. That's one of my favorite topics, and so much of our food is just dead, and you know, your microbiome is very important to your overall health, and we'll talk about that later too. Beverages, not food again, but also equally important. The best recommendation I think for water consumption is to drink about half of your body weight in ounces of clean, pure water every day. What is that? That's a loaded question. A lot of different opinions out there. But basically, you'll want a really good filtration system or even a distillation system. And that sort of system does require a little bit of extra work as far as making the water drinkable again for you. But I mean, it's drinkable, but you need the minerals in there too, and those are also removed. So. You want to be a little bit aware of the fact that some of the bottled waters you get at the store, you know, they've been sitting in plastic for who knows how long, and a lot of them are found to just be tap water. So not only are you wasting your money, you're also putting yourself at risk for drinking out of plastic. And if you don't filter your water, then you actually become the filter. And this is what has come out of our personal distilling system. This is after 3 pre-filters. And then this is once those pre-filters have gotten a little bit dirty. So you can take a look at these after if you like. Yeah, they smell pretty awful. And also another thing to ponder is what your arterial system looks like after consuming this sort of stuff. Don't drink soda, Coke, we all know this. Again, it's another one of those addictive things, and I was never a soda drinker necessarily, but I've heard that replacing sodas with some of these fermented beverages is a really great way to kick that habit. Drinking tea is another fabulous way to kick the habit. I could probably talk about teas for about an hour on their own, but those are just a few of the options out there. The green and oolong have caffeine. The pu'er tea is wonderful. It's a pre-fermented tea. Great for weight loss, appetite control, detoxification, energy, that sort of thing. You'll also want to avoid drinking juice because it's just high in sugar. If you're making your own juice though, as long as you're doing very heavy on the vegetables and very light on the fruit, then that's a great way to get some enzyme and nutrient-rich drink in your diet.